Tonight's homework assignment comes from the two puzzle pages, and the first one looks like this. The directions say to find the x and y intercepts of each equation and use those to graph that line on this coordinate plane. So these first four equations go with this first coordinate plane. The next set of four goes with the second coordinate plane. So we said today that we can find x and y intercepts by substituting in 0 for the x's and the y's. Well, if we want to find the x-intercept, we said that all x-intercepts have something in common. Every x-intercept has a y value that's 0. So if we take the y out and put in 0, then to find the x-intercept, we would have x plus 0 equals 4. So now if we simplify the left-hand side, x plus 0 is just x. So x equals 4. So our x-intercept is going to be 4 zeros, since our x value came out to be 4, and the 0 that we substitute in for y would be our y value. So 4, 0. Let's go ahead and plot that point. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 would be located right here. Then we need to find the y-intercept on number 1. If we find the y-intercept, we do the same thing by substituting in 0, but we said for y-intercepts all have something in common, and that's that all of the x values of y-intercepts are 0. So 0 plus y equals 4. So now if we solve for y, well, 0 plus y is just y. Y equals 4. So when we substitute in 0 for x, our y value is 4. So our y-intercept is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to plot that point here. If we draw a line through those 2 points, then we should see something. We should see, as the instructions say, that the line will touch one of the letters. So if I draw a line through those 2 points, it would look like this. And it would touch the T. So I would find number 1 at the bottom of the paper and write T in that box. If we do the same thing for number 2, I would first take, to find my x-intercept, I would take out the y and substitute in a 0 for that. So it would look like this. We would have negative x plus 0 equals 4. Well, negative x plus 0, that's just negative x equals 4. We know if the opposite of x is 4, that means that x has to be negative 4. So our x-intercept then would be negative 4, 0. So negative 4, 0, if we find that point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, here's our x-intercept. If we do the same thing for y, we know that all y-intercepts have something in common. Y-intercepts have x values of 0. So we put in 0 wherever we see x. Negative 0 plus y equals 4. Well, there's not really a negative 0, so just 0 plus y equals 4. Well, 0 plus y, that's just the same thing as y equals 4. So when our x value is 0, our y value is 4. So that's going to be the y-intercept, is going to be 0, 4. If we plot that point, well, we already have that point plotted, so let's draw a line through those points. And if we do that, then we should see that our line is going to go through the letter S. So I want to find number 2, go down to the bottom of the page and write S in that box. So that's what we would do on the first puzzle. The second puzzle looks like this. It says, what does it take to win a tug of war? All right, it says find the rate of change. Well, we talked about rate of change yesterday, and we said rate of change is just another way of saying slope. So find the slope represented by each line. So in some of these, you're going to have to do some estimating. Like on number 1, if I want to find the slope of that line, or the rate of change in the line, that means that we're wanting to see are the miles changing as our time changes along the bottom. And we said that we can find that. We can find that by finding 2 different times and subtracting those and subtracting the corresponding distances. So what we mean is this. If we look at let's just choose 2 dots, choose 2 points, and let's estimate on this. Well, if we want to find distance or miles per hour is what we're looking for, miles per hour. Then on top we would need to subtract two of the values that we see for miles. So the miles for this second dot would be somewhere around 80, and the miles for this first dot would be 40. So 80 minus 40, and then we need to subtract the corresponding hours for those. Well, that's in hours 2 and hours 1. So on the bottom we would need to have 2 minus 1. Well, when we simplify that, 80 minus 40 is 40. And on bottom, 2 minus 1. So on top we have 40. On bottom we have 2 minus 1 is going to give us 1. So 40 over 1, well, 40 divided by 1 is just 40. So our rate of change would be 40 miles per hour. We would go down to the bottom of the page and find the box that has 40 miles per hour, and we would scratch that out. So on number 2, we're comparing two things again, miles and hour. So we would do the same thing. We're finding the rate of change in those two values, which would be the slope. So let's just pick 2 points. We have 2 dots that are given to us on the second problem. So let's use the miles and the hours of those 2 dots. Alright, so the miles of this first dot is 250, and the miles of the second dot, well, that's at 0. So 250 minus 0 over the hours. Well, the hours here are 0 and the hours here are 5. So 0 minus 5. So when we simplify, 250 minus 0 is 250. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. When we divide those two, we're going to come up with negative 50 miles per hour. So if we look down at the bottom of the page and find negative 50 miles per hour, that's what we would scratch out. So since we had a slope that slanted, or a line that slanted this way, that's why we had a negative slope. That tells us that on average, or really in this graph consistently, we are getting 50 miles per hour slower every hour. So that's what we would do on this second puzzle page.